of a charter election.
Thank you. And the big problem, too, is that when the council got elected, everybody picked their own commissioner. And no one knew who else was picking what at that time. So we ended up with, I guess, 7 members. And, I don't have, to me, I didn't pick a developer or a realtor or whatever. It's in the land developer on there. But, even though my colleagues, they did, and they have, there's 7 there, they can't replace them anyway until their term is over, until we change the charter. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Mayor?
Okay, Councilor Poole.
And then I have a follow-on question for our city attorney. If we have violated the charter through having more than 4 people in land development or real estate, how can we continue on with that violation, whether there's a 2-year term listed or not? Wouldn't the council's violation of the city charter have primacy over a 2-year term?
So, council members, I think that the question has to do with what you all are interpreting for the charter, and I think the debate that you're having about who qualifies and who doesn't is one that you are having right now. And so you want to follow the charter in all respects.
Which is what, okay, if I can understand what our city attorney just said, we should be following the charter in all respects, which means that we never should have had more than 4 people in land development and real estate be appointed. So we're still back to that same central problem. I guess what I'm trying to say is pointing to what I call a property right in that appointment, which is in the charter, which is what my colleague, Mr. Renteria, was talking about, doesn't somehow dismiss or excuse or allow us or apologize for or justify the fact that we have fundamentally violated the charter. And so I really still think we need to move in the direction that our constituents and our residents are here tonight telling us to do, which is fix that problem.
I'm going to vote against the postponement and in support of Councilmember Alter.
Okay. Further debate on the motion to postpone.
Mayor,
Mr. Renteria?
the reason I support postponing that, I don't think the charter is broken. I think that what happened is that we ended up appointing too many people to the Planning Commission. And what we should do is just concentrate on the enforcement, where here on option C number 3 is to get that fixed so that we can find a way to get these people to the right number and be able to replace them, and I don't think the charter's part is the one that's broken. I think it's just that we didn't know what we were doing when we got elected, and we appointed everybody appointed someone to the Planning Commission, and now we're in violation, and we don't know how to repair that. Now I think we need to do is just change the charter so that we can get rid of people and get it down to the right number, 4, and we'll just don't have to go through all these amendments that we're going through.
Discussion on the motion to postpone. Councilmember Alter.
I will try to keep this germane to the postponement. I obviously support my amendments, but if we are going to postpone, we need city staff to come and very clearly explain why we can be in violation of the charter but yet they get to stay on the planning commission. In any other situation, if you are in violation of the rules that allow you to sit on a commission or a board, you don't get to sit on the commission or board. And I have been asking this question for a long time, and we have not heard an answer. And just because it says you serve two-year terms, but if you're ineligible to be on the board in the first place, you have no property right to that term. And that we have to understand. It does not make logical sense. The other thing that I do want to clarify, and if you forgive me for a minute, I can see where this vote is going to go. The charter amendment in 1994 was changing it from less than a majority to a two-thirds majority had to be lay. It was not a change in the language about a lay person who is directly or indirectly related to real estate and development. It was a change that said we want two-thirds of the people to be in that category rather than less than a majority. And we need to remember that it was a very, very clear intention that was voted on. They weren't voting on the wording. That wording was in the charter before, I think going back to 1973. And if it were the case that it was less than a majority, we wouldn't be debating this question. It's the fact that it is more than that. So regardless of where this vote goes with the postponement, we need to remember our history so that we can, if we want to go forward, we have to also look backwards. And it's really important to understand how we got to where we are. Mayor, if I can add one other thing.
Yes.
There is another way to come into compliance, is that the members who have planning commissioners who violate this, if enough of them were to ask their commissioners to step down, even if they did it at the end of Code Next, we might say that this is not a fair time for them to be without representation. We could probably solve this fairly quickly. I'm sure after the Code Next experience, we'll have several commissioners who want to resign moving forward, but we could just get this taken care of.